Welcome to Macro Code. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with our video on connecting .NETMAUI with our API. So we had created an API, employees API. We have the constituencies, countries, employees, locations. Then we have added a mobile app users so that we can be able to link our employee app with the APIs. So for us to authenticate the users, we have created these endpoints. So I'll just show you what we have done for those who are following. So we have added a new model called mobile app users. It has the ID, first name, middle name, last name, national ID number, email address, and password. Then we have created a mobile app users controller. So this is the controller for adding a user, then getting the user details, and actually updating the user details. For you to do this, after you have created the mobile app user, you can actually scaffold, right click on controllers, add new, then new scaffold item, then choose API controller with actions using entity framework. Then you can be able to choose the model. Then you will be able to add the controller name and choose the DB context. Then if you add this, you'll be able to have this controller. So that is what we have done for those who are following. So we now have our mobile app users endpoints. That is the get, put, post, delete, put and delete. So to get the users, so we have added that. Remember, once you add the mobile app users, once you add this mobile app users, so you'll also need to update our DB context. For those who are following application DB context, we have added this. So after that, you need to add migrations. Come to package console manager, then add migrations and update the database. So after you have done that, let's just open our database. We see what is there. So for those who are new to this channel, this is a series of .NETMAUI, and we are now connecting the applications to our web app. So if you are new to this channel, consider watching our previous videos so that you can be able to catch up. So let's connect this. Let's connect. So I'll take you to our database. So this is our database, employees. So this is the employee database, and these are the tables that are there. So it's loading. Let's wait. Let's see. So we have added an employee. The mobile app users table. You don't have any record. Sublocations we had added. Locations we had added, and then villages we had some records. So currently we don't have any record as our. So we don't have any user records. So to add an employee that is a mobile app user, we'll try to add. So we'll say this is macro. So I'll try this. Sorry, we should be doing post. So we'll try. We'll say this is macro code. Say this is James Mwangi Karanja. Then 1 2 3 4 5 6. Then we'll say test@gmail.com. Then password is 1 2 3 4. So if we execute that, we'll have our record created. You can see we have James Mwangi Karanja 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is the email and this is the password. Created on, created by, modified on, and modified by. So to add another user, so we'll say this is macro code. Then you can say this is admin. Then you can say this is admin. You can call this admin, or you can call it macro code. Macro code. Then last name is admin. Password ID number 1. We say 1 2 3 4 5. then we can have the email as admin, then our password should be 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if we execute this, we will have our user. So if we try to execute get, we will have our 2 users in our database. Then if we just execute this as well, we will see we have these users in our database. So after we have done this, we need now to, as we had indicated, we'll be using REFIT to actually start our mobile app connection. So this is our mobile app. We have the employee mobile app login page, email, and password. So we are going to start now the process of integrating this with our API. So to start with, we are going to create a folder. So create a folder called interfaces. So create a folder called interfaces. So on the interface folder, we are going to create an interface called just create a class, then we will change that to interface. So we are going to we call iAPI connection. So this is our interface. So if we do that, so we'll do this as public, then we'll change this as interface. So this is our interface. So we have our interface iAPI connection. Then we need to create a service of the same. So we'll create another service here. We call this API connection. So if we do that, we'll have public. Then we say public class. Then this one inherits from iAPI. So it should be iAPI connection. So that is it. So this actually implements from that, and we can do that. So after we have done that, we need to define we have our DB context, and our DB context, we can define some constant values. So we can add a class called mobile app constants. So we can have a class called mobile app constants. So if we add that, this is a public. So here we can be defining some of the constant things that we will actually be using on our mobile app. So one of it could be now the address, that is the API address. You can say public static. Static. Then you can call this a string. Then you can call this as a base API address. So this one will assign now a value. So we can actually, for now, let's just add give this as our link, API link. So we'll do that. But if you want to host, you can actually host it. So this is our API link. So I'll just put in some comments. API link. So if you have hosted your API, then you can have your link here. Now, once we have done that, we need now to go back to our iAPI connection. So we need to define some endpoints or methods that we are going to pull from our API. So what we are going to do here, we are going to define some methods. So one of the methods could be to get the list of all countries or the list of all constituencies, all those. So we can say now this one, we want to get the list of all countries. So this is the model. So I don't know how our model looks like on our API for. So I'll dock that. Just cancel. Let me just do that. So our country model looks like this one. So and also have the base. So I'll also create the base model on our app. So let me see if it is there. So it doesn't exist. So I'll just create here class. Then I'll call this a base model. public. Then I'll copy what we have on our API. Then I'll have it on our app. So I'll copy it here. So on all our applications constituency, I'll add now the base model. I just want it to be the same as the API. So I'll also do that. Locations, I'll also do that. Products, I can leave that. Locations, sublocations, I'll also do that. Then villages, I'll also do that. So on our API connection, the first thing that you need to do, also we need to create another class. Let's create another class called mobile app user. So we can have the same class as we have on our API. So I'll copy this. So I'll just copy this. Then I'll have it here. So I'll do that. Then here we can have as a public. Then a base model. So we'll copy these as well. This should be auto incremental. We define these. So mobile app user should be that way. So then we need to have this table on our application. So come to our application DB context for our mobile app. This is how it looks like, guys, for those who are new. So I'll copy this. This is now our table 6. So the app will create this table. So as we have that, now let's go to our API connection. So our task here, we want to get the mobile app user, to retrieve the mobile app user. Then we can say get mobile app user. So to get this will actually give us a list of all the mobile app users that is actually there. So we can now define the kind of method that we have. So this is a post method. Then we need to provide the link. We need to provide the link to the endpoint. If you come to our API, remember the endpoint is API, then a controller, then that is it. So what we need to do, we'll come to our app. On our app, we'll do API, then we'll do the name of the controller, which is mobile app users. Then we'll do the name of our endpoint. So the name of our endpoint is actually get mobile app users. So this is the name of our endpoint. So this is get mobile app users. So if we come here, so we'll just do that. Then we do that. So this one. So the next thing that we need to do that we should have actually started with, come to our application and manage NuGet packages. So I want us to install something. So come here to browse. Then I want us to install REFIT. So I want us to install REFIT. So just here type in REFIT. So type in REFIT. Then this is the first one. So install REFIT. So it has actually installed. So you can see on our dependencies, then Android, then packages. You can be able to see we have REFIT there. So another thing also is we can install these 3. Install the REFIT HTTP client factory and then Newtonsoft JSON. So install those 3. So I'll also install this one. So we have them there. So you already have it. So come to our I connection, I API connection here. Then on our post, try to hover, then you'll be able to see using REFIT. So if we add a REFIT, then this one will actually be okay. So after we have done that, we need to have we need now to implement this interface. So our implementation, we'll do it on our we'll do it here on our API connections. You can see it is now giving us an error. If we hover, we can say implement interface, and it will actually add that method here. So you can see we have the get a mobile app user. So, but before we do the implementation, we need to have defined some things. So on our API connection, on our constructor here, we need to actually get the URL of API. So you'll say API URL. We need to get the API URL. Then our API URL, remember where it is. It is actually on our mobile app constants here. So we'll just copy the name here. Then we'll say our API URL is that. Then we'll say this is the base URL. Then we need to, so I'll just borrow some code. So you can forgive me. So let me just type in the connection. So I'll use client handler. Then inside our client handler here, we'll do server certificate validate callback. Then we'll say this is can say this is a message, comma, then we'll say certificate, then we'll say chain. Let me just zoom. Then I'll also do SSL policy. I'll say errors. Then I'll close. Then I'll actually have these as true. So if I do that, then I can close it here. Then down here I'll say service point manager. Then I'll say .security protocol is equals to security protocol .tls12. Then you can do also, can just copy this, paste it here. Then you can actually do TLS12. Then we can also now here we need now to call. So at the top here we need to declare our so we'll say private static. So we can do so we'll say this is sorry. So you can declare this. Then you can call this API instance. So I'll do that. Then I'll also copy this here, and I'll say private read only. Then our API connection. Then I'll say this is this will be API instance. So to instantiate this instance, then this one I'll call it API connect. Then to instantiate it, I'll do public, then static, then API instance, this one. Then I'll say is equals to new. So I just do this. I'll just do instance. Then I'll do this. then I'll do that, then instance, then I'll do new API connection. Then if I do this and close that way, so here is our API. Or I can just do this. Let me just do this. Let me do this. Do this equals. Is this the right name? This should be public static API connection. Then I'll do this. New API connection. That way. What is the issue here? So let's just proceed. We'll see what is the issue. So we'll do API connect. Then we'll say here on API connect, we'll say REST service. We'll do 4. Then we'll have our IAPI connection. Then we'll open into bracket. We do that. So inside here, we'll do new HTTP client. Then we'll have HTTP handler. Then do that. You can close it here. Then we'll do content. We want to serialize. So we'll provide actually our base URL is equals to new URI, then API URL. Then you can put in here comma. Then we'll say new refit settings. Refit setting. Then we want to serialize. So we'll say content serializer is equals to new. Then we'll say Newton soft. We'll say we can take the Newton soft serializer. Can do that. Then inside here, inside our Newton soft serializer, you can say new JSON content serializer. This will be JSON serializer settings. JSON serializer setting. You can actually do this. What's wrong with that? Let's see. Use that. Then if we do that, here you can say contract resolver. Then you'll say new camel case naming contract resolver. So we'll do that. Then we can close it here. Then the next one we'll close it. So we'll say we'll do that. It will be this way, yeah. Then this one should be that way. This one is closing which one? Yeah, so this one is should not be there. Then this one is closing that. This one should not close there. So we just format. So this is how our app now looks. So this is our code. So on our constructor we need to have this. So our API, so this should be, we'll actually do this. Yeah, so the next thing now we need to solve is this one. Let's see what is the issue here. So this is a public private API instance. Then we'll say we can call this instance. So let's just do that. Let's see. The API instance. So yeah, I think we can even get rid of this. Let's just do away with this. See, are we using it anywhere? No. So after we have done that, so after we have done these, we have actually now, so you're actually using REFIT. So after that, we need to get now our mobile app users. So to get the mobile app user, I'll just do here async. So I'll just do async. Then I get mobile app user. Then here we'll say return. So we want to return the list of users. Wait, then our API will be API connect dot get mobile app users. So that is it. So this is now what we are supposed to test. So on our login page, come to our login page. So we had created we had the email address and the password being supplied by the user. So let's just see. So after you click login, so you are supposed to now authenticate the user. But now what we need to do, we need to, so we can start by checking if our API works by pulling the list of users that are there. So to do that, come to our inside the login function. We need now to pull the users that are actually within our database. So how are we going to do that? So come to our login page view model at the top. So we need to declare our API connect. So you'll say private read only. So you'll say API connection. Then this one will say underscore API connect. So this is it. Then inside our login page also we'll say that. Then we'll say API connection. Then we need to assign this here. So we'll say this is equals to API connection. So after we have done that, come to our So after we have checked that email address and password are not null, so we can actually now pull the records from our API. So to do that, so come to here, then we need to declare so we'll say we are getting the list of users. So we'll say list, then a mobile app users, mobile app user, then we'll just do, so we can say these, let's just declare here mobile app user, then we can do that. So here we'll say new. So this is our list of mobile app users. So we'll say we can call these app users. So our app users will be retrieved from, so we'll say await, so API connect dot get mobile app users. So what's wrong? So we'll say these are async task, so cannot convert to, so let's see what is being retrieved from our mobile app user. This should be actually be a list, so we'll do this. This should be a list, so it is giving us a list of users. And then the method here is a get method. Remember, you should actually provide the correct method. So if you go to implementation under our service, under our service, we'll have our mobile app user. This should also be a list of mobile app users. So on our login page, you can see we have it here. So we can now say if, so we can try to, let's try to, we can have this as a try, then you see if everything goes well. We can catch here, say exception X. So we have created our application API connection. So this is our connection that we'll be using to pull some records. So assuming we want to, we can actually, before we actually test this with our API, we can try to, so this is our API connection. You can see we have this connection here. We have our interface. This is our interface. So we'll actually be testing now if this is able to work and get a list of employees, a list of users. So we have changed our login page. You can see we have our API connection now here. Then we have we're expecting a list of users, and we have our instance here, API connection, that will give us a list of users. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, and see you on our next video when we will be proceeding with this series. Bye.